What would happen if we sent this 1,000-pound polar bear straight into your mum? I mean, this 3,000-pound hippo. Who would actually win in such a hypothetical battle? The answer might be closer than many of you thought in my community post. But to reason our way through this clash of titans, we need to analyze their differences across 6 crucial categories. The first being their size differences. Now, these videos actually take a lot of time and effort to make, so it would mean the world to me if you could leave a like on the video, as well as maybe commenting your thoughts down below at the end. It truly does help out a lot with the algorithm. Anyways, thanks in advance. A male polar bear isn't exactly tiny. They usually weigh around 1,000 pounds and measure around 8 feet from nose to tail, while also standing about 5 feet at the shoulder, making them the largest land predator alive today. But in this fight, it's seriously outmatched. The hippo absolutely dwarfs it, tipping the scales at about 3,000 pounds, basically 3 times heavier, and they stretch up to 11 feet long, with a shoulder height close to 5 feet. It's basically nature's equivalent of a battle tank. The hippo doesn't just outweigh the bear, it can literally use its sheer bulk as a crushing weapon. So while the polar bear's size is impressive for hunting seals, it's not going to do much against this living bulldozer. So round 1 clearly goes to the hippo. Next, we need to look at their strength differences. Now, the polar bear is literally built for brute force. They've been documented dragging massive prey, such as 2,000-pound narwhals and beluga whales, out of the water and onto solid ice, demonstrating extraordinary muscular strength. A single swipe from a polar bear's paw is easily capable of crushing bones or delivering fatal blows. Their bite is also devastatingly strong, at about 1,200 psi, evolved specifically to penetrate thick seal hide and blubber, which might prove effective against the hippo's thick skin. However, in this showdown, the bear faces an opponent that takes brute force to an entirely new level. The jaws of these fat son-of-a-guns produce a staggering bite force of nearly 1,800 psi. Armed with 2 ivory tusks, longer than your attention span, designed specifically for combat, one precise bite from the hippo could instantly crush the bear's skull and end the fight on the spot. Again, the polar bear is strong, but the hippo's sheer overwhelming mass and biting power give it the upper hand. So round 2 also goes to the hippo. The third metric we shall analyze is their speed and stamina. Now, polar bears might look slow and lumbering, but don't let the fluff fool you. These beasts can sprint up to 25 miles per hour, and they've got surprisingly sharp reflexes. On slippery ice, they pivot, pounce, and jump in and out of water with grace. They're also built for endurance. Polar bears have been recorded swimming over 90 miles non-stop, and they'll trek across frozen wastelands for days without tiring. Their body literally runs like a diesel engine. Slow burn, but long-lasting. But what about hippos? On land, they can sprint up to 19 miles per hour, but only in short bursts, but still enough to catch your turtle-speed legs. Feel free to comment down below if you think you could outrun it. Anyways, they're not especially nimble, and turning is rather awkward for them. They also tire fast, which is how packs of lions are actually able to take them down. But in water, it's a different game. They can't really swim, but they still move like torpedoes, using the ground to push off. But when it comes to raw speed and agility on land, it's not really a contest at all. So round 3 easily goes to the polar bear. We now have 3 more metrics to analyze before giving our final verdict. The fourth being their individual weaponry. Polar bears are basically walking armories, with life-cancelling claws up to 4 inches long and a bite force of around 1,200 psi. They're built to end life. And we're not just talking about normal soy boy seals here. You see, polar bears have been documented taking on full-grown walruses, 3,000-pound, tusk-wielding beasts with literal shields of blubber and muscle. The fact that polar bears even attempt that says a lot about their power. But let's be clear, even with walruses, they often struggle, especially with bull walruses. And a hippo is built completely differently, bigger, bulkier, and far more aggressive. Their tusks aren't just long, they're weapons of war, capable of punching through crocodile skulls. And with a bite force nearing 1,800 psi, they're basically mobile guillotines. So yeah, the polar bear is dangerous. But the hippo isn't just overall better armed, it's biologically optimized for raw destruction. So round 4 goes to the hippo. Next up, let's talk armor. Because in a fight like this, it's not just about what you can dish out. It's about how much damage you can tank and how long you can tank it. Polar bears are wrapped in 3 layers of protection. First, we've got their thick, dense fur. Second, their tough skin. And lastly, a massive slab of fat underneath. That blubber can be over 4 inches thick, not only providing insulation from the cold, but also acting as natural padding. Beneath that, they've got solid muscle and a really durable skeleton. It's not impenetrable, but it'll take more than just a scratch to bring one down. But then we've got the mass monster, that is the hippo. This thing is pretty much a walking fortress. Its skin is over 2 inches thick, and it's not soft, stretchy skin either. We're talking dense, armor-grade flesh that can shrug off spears, teeth, even bullets in some cases. And it heals fast. They actually have a healing buff of sorts. They secrete a red blood sweat that acts as both sunscreen and antiseptic. Kinda overpowered, if you ask me. The hippo's vital organs are also buried very deep under layers of muscle and fat. Even lions struggle to find a weak spot. And they usually roll 10 to 20 deep when trying to bring one down. You're not going to slice through a hippo unless you've got godlike endurance and serious tools of death. So while the polar bear does have impressive natural defenses, the hippo is just built different. Therefore, round 5 also goes to the hippo. Now, let's break down their final and decisive metric, namely their individual fighting experience. Polar bears hunt alone in a brutal environment where failure equals death. Their strategy is all about patience, positioning, and sudden, overwhelming violence. They also regularly wrestle with other bears during mating season, which is key practice. These fights are also quite serious, often leaving brutal scars. They've also been seen fighting off wolves and going toe-to-toe with animals far heavier than themselves, like the walrus we mentioned earlier, which has a lot of similarities with the hippo, but still isn't really comparable, as their mobility is rather limited on land. In short, polar bears are used to taking on high-risk targets without backup, which will matter a lot in the upcoming showdown. But hippos are chaos incarnate. These things fight all the time. Male hippos are in a constant battle for dominance, smashing into each other like tanks. And they don't just fight other hippos. They regularly deal with 5-meter-long Nile crocodiles that weigh more than 1,600 pounds. They're designed for brutal head-to-head collisions with low centers of gravity and bodies built for absorbing and dealing insane amounts of damage. So how would this fight actually play out? Well, let's assume neutral terrain, no water advantage, just solid ground.
Fight!
The bear might try to circle, use its speed, go for the legs, or the back. It might land a few swipes, but the moment the hippo connects, and it eventually will, it's pretty much game over. One charge, one bite, and that bear is either crippled for life or simply crushed. So the result would probably not be instant. The polar bear might survive for a few minutes, maybe even an hour. So in the battle of the North's apex predator versus Africa's most dangerous tank, the hippo takes it with low to medium difficulty.